Hey guys, Nostalgic Dan 1 again here, and I'm here with a new recent pickups. This is a recent pickups episode 10, and basically I'll be showing you basically all the gaming stuff I picked up over the holidays, so I guess you could call this my holiday pickup. So I really didn't get games for gifts, I usually don't, so this is kind of like the games I bought for myself, but basically with some money I got for Christmas and whatnot, and gift cards. So I picked up some retro games, actually quite a bit. Bought them off Lukey, which is a site I love, Lukey Games. So wide range of stuff here, really great prices. Like all these games are like $2 and under. So first we got some Game Boy games here. First one is Fist of the North Star on the Game Boy, and this is actually a little like fighting game. So you can select multiple characters, and it's just a standard fighting game. Not too bad, it's pretty good, enjoyable. I played it. I like it. This is a really odd looking game. Like, if you saw the cover for this game, you'd be like, what kind of game is that? But it is a Dadalian Opus, I believe it's pronounced. Really weird name, really weird cover. But this is actually just a puzzle game, that's like all it is. Basically, it's like tangrams. If you know what tangrams are, it's like a puzzle where you have to get shapes to fit to form like certain, patterns and stuff like that. But instead of like those tangrams, it's basically with like Tetris blocks. So you have like a certain size and you need to get these like Tetris block shapes to fit that one size by rotating them and flipping them. So I actually played quite a bit of it. It's enjoyable. I'm a huge fan of puzzle games, so I like it. And next, another puzzle game, and that is the classic Tetris Attack for the Game Boy. Basically, Tetris Attack is a Tetris game involving, color blocks, but you move them left to right in order to make like patterns of 3 or more disappear. So, prime examples is recently on the DS Planet Puzzle League, which I really love, is basically Tetris Attack, and Pokemon Puzzle League, if you remember that. Tetris Attack. So if you played those, that's exactly what Tetris Attack is. It's just based off that. So very enjoyable game. I'm really good at it too. I play a pretty mean game of Tetris Attack. And next is a classic racer, and that is Super RC Pro-Am, which is a top-down kind of like isometric racer where you're in these RC cars and you move around and you can see like kind of from a shifted perspective the course, almost similar like a Super Sprint if you've ever played like those kind of arcade games. Very similar like that, and this is actually pretty good. It's a classic racer, I enjoy it. And next is a very odd little game. I don't think a lot of people have heard of this, but it's part of a genre that's, I looked it up and I didn't know there was actually kind of like a term for it, but it's called Trap 'em Ups. But the game is Boomer's Adventure in Asmic World, which is a very oddball game. And basically it's like a trap 'em up where I looked up the term and there is a term called Trap 'em Up. Similar like Hyanko Alien on the Game Boy, which is one of my favorite games, where it basically involves like you moving around in like a kind of like top-down area, and you plant traps basically. So you'll plant like a hole by pressing and tapping the A button to make it bigger, and then once the enemy falls in it, you press like the B button to shrink it, and you contract it, and then you destroy the enemies like that. So it sounds like a simple concept, but it's actually very addicting once you get into it. This one's pretty good, but I still prefer Hyanko Alien, but this one's pretty good, and you're cute little pink dinosaurs. So. Next we got a Genesis game I haven't tried out yet, but I definitely want to try it out. It looks like a really fun little action game, like action side-scrolling game, and that's eSWAT, City Under Siege. So yeah, I haven't tried that out, but I looked up videos for it and it looks like a decent little kind of side-scroller action game. And next we got some 64 games. I haven't tried these out either, but they're like super cheap. First is a racing game, F1 World Grand Prix, and WCW Mayhem. This was like 40 cents. Next is a Super Nintendo game I've seen like all the time. Like everywhere you go, you always see this game. And it's like, eventually I wanted to pick it up because like it's so common, like it's everywhere. And that is Zoop. And this is a very simplistic kind of puzzle game where it involves like, shooting like a color to like other colors coming from 4 ways to make them disappear before they get to the center. So really simplistic. There's not many modes, so it's kind of like bare bones puzzle, but it's enjoyable. It was super cheap and very common. I picked up some Dreamcast games. I really wanted to pick up some Dreamcast games because it's been quite a while since I bought like any new Dreamcast games. I really haven't been playing my Dreamcast like at all, really. And I have some pretty quality games for it too. But it's been so long. I just wanted to get like a decent chunk of games, so I picked up a few here. So to get me back in the mood. All of these were like under $2, so really good deals. First one, I haven't tried it out yet, but it looks interesting. That's Fighting Force 2. This one I have played, and that's TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat. This is basically like a off-road kind of arcadey racer, where you have checkpoints and you have to get to the checkpoints to extend time, basically like that. Controls are very responsive, so actually a very fun little racing game for the Dreamcast. Next one is a game I haven't played yet, but interesting title. It's actually regarded as a really quality game, so of course I had to pick it up for really cheap, and that's Sega Bass Fishing. So haven't tried it out yet, but definitely interested. All these were only $2, so good deals. Next is a snowboarding game that interested me, and it's actually a pretty interesting game. It's pretty fun, and that's Rippin' Riders Snowboarding. Basically, this is kind of like an arcadey snowboarding racing game. Like, it's not so much about emphasis on tricks. It's more emphasis on, shredding the mountain accurately and trying to be fastest down the mountain. So it's arcadey because, like an arcadey racing game, you have to get checkpoints. So like in this, you have to get to a checkpoint to extend time. So you want to be fast, but every now and then you'll come to these segments, ramps and whatnot, that'll say like trick section, and then you can do tricks. So doing tricks is actually kind of hard, like it's challenging, but it works relatively well. The environments are really unique, so it's kind of got like, unrealistic environments where it doesn't take itself too seriously. So I enjoyed what I played of it, arcadey like snowboard racing game, so I like it. Next is probably out of the bunch, the one I played the most, and it's kind of odd, but I love this game. I love this game even though it's a sports title, but I don't care. I play all games, all kinds of games, every kind of game, and I'll try and find the greatness in all games. And that's Virtua Tennis. What an awesome tennis game. I love this game. I actually probably played this for like quite a few hours, honestly. So fun. Like, I love tennis games. I love, different kinds of sports games. This one is just really well executed. Like, the controls handle so well. Even though it's super simple, you just move with the analog stick, and A button is to do swings. So the swinging is very responsive. Like, if the ball's near you, you press A, it's gonna hit. And you can, with the analog stick, kind of change your shots. If you're like running backwards and then you like swing, you'll do it backwards, like through the leg shot. Like, really intuitive, really fun, really arcadey. It's got different courts to choose from, and most interesting that I started trying out was a World Circuit kind of like tour they have on here, where you go around the world and you play in different matches, and you have to do like some training basically, but the training is really what steals like the show. Basically, there's some really quirky and kind of like mini game, training sessions, like returning balls, to destroy like tennis machines, the things that shoot balls, and bowling, and smashing these big giant balls like to push them back. It's really crazy, really fun. There's a shop where you can buy new characters and new fields to play on, so it's got actual pros from quite a while ago, but visually it holds up, I think, really well. I think it still looks like a really nice game. I even noticed like the subtle textures of like the cloud shadow on the field as like clouds are passing from above, so really nice. So a tennis game that holds up really well, arcadey. I enjoy it. And next is a wrestling game. Like I said, I've been kind of getting into old school wrestling games. It's a game that I thought I never played, but as soon as I popped it in, it instantly connected to me. Like, yeah, I have played this game somewhere. but that is Hardcore Revolution in CW. And basically, it's actually a pretty bad wrestling game. Like, it's pretty horrible. It's got like all the cool like ECW modes, you know, like all these like barbed wire like ropes and stuff like that, like really crazy, really over the top ECW. But the controls are kind of like really bad. Like, they're not that responsive. Visually, it's very dated, but it was very. It's kind of cliche of me to say this, but it was very nostalgic to play it because, you know, I thought I didn't play this game. Like, I didn't really look it up too much, and you know, I popped it in and I got into my first match. I'm like, this looks really familiar. I don't remember. Like, I had to have played this somewhere, and I think I played it a long time ago. And like, I think it was available for PlayStation 1 or something. With like one of my cousins, we were probably hanging out one day and just playing it. But you know, that takes me back. So a bad wrestling game, but it's still kind of quirky. It's still kind of enjoyable with all the, you know, ECW modes. So I like some of the characters that are in here too, like Rob Van Dam and all that. It kind of takes me back. So back when I actually used to kind of enjoy wrestling. So really quirky, kind of bad wrestling game. But next we got some console games, and recently I picked up I believe it's, if I remember correctly, number 99. I hope so, but my 99 PlayStation 2 game. And it's a PS2 game I've always wanted. It's by Atlus, and I always wanted it, but as of late it's becoming a lot harder to find and a lot like harder to track down, and the prices are pretty outrageous. But I found a great copy for $6, so I jumped on it right away, and that's Atlus's Sky Gunner on the PS2. And this is a really interesting flight sim game. I actually live streamed this, playing it for the first time. And basically it's got like the Atlus charm you can come to expect from Atlus. Is, you know, the cutscenes are done in beautiful animation, but you know, really quirky animation style. In game it's got this beautiful like cel shaded, really vibrant, colorful look to it. And the weapons and all that, like, you know, there's different difficulty levels, and depending on the difficulty level you choose, that affects some of the objectives you have to do in the mission, and it changes which plane you get to pilot. Each plane has its own like special ability that it can do. One plane has like a really fast like U-turn, one has like a really powerful machine gun shots and stuff like that. And you have different weapons. Some weapons like slow down enemies, and then there's like missiles, so you can lock onto multiple enemies, and nice variety in the levels. Not very long at all. I beat the game and it probably took like, you know, I want to say maybe 2.5 to 3 hours, but replayability with like the different characters and like that, and it gets harder obviously depending on the plane you choose. But you know, really quirky, and you know, it does have some faults. Like, one of the biggest faults I noticed, it really suffers from slowdown issues, like really bad frame rate issues, especially when there's a lot of enemies on the screen. I've noticed serious slowdown, even to some points where I thought the game froze on me. But it's like, it only happens when there's like tons of enemies on the screen. It'll kind of be choppy and all that, but thankfully that's not too frequent. You know, there's not a whole bunch of points where like there's tons of enemies on the screen, just very rare missions here and there, so it's not too bad. But very enjoyable, very cute style, you know, fun to pick up and play for a little bit. But you know, just next I got some 360 games, ones I've wanted for a while. First we have a very common RPG. You should never pay like more than $10 for this game. It's very cheap everywhere. And I was at Walmart one day and I saw it brand new for $10. Had to have it, and that's Blue Dragon by Microsoft Game Studios and Mistwalker. Mistwalker is known for Lost Odyssey, obviously. And this is from the same artists who do Dragon Quest and Dragon Ball, so it's kind of got that art style going for it. It's a simple turn-based RPG, fairly long, so but glad to finally just pick it up, and can't wait to give it a shot sometime. Next, we actually have a very popular Xbox 360 game that won multiple Game of the Year awards in 2010. And I had some Best Buy gift cards, so I figured that was a good time to pick up this game. Best Buy was having a great deal for pre-owns, so buy 2 pre-owns or more and get 20% off plus free shipping, so I jumped on that. So this game actually cost me nothing out of my pocket, but that is Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption. And what can I say about this? Like, I actually started playing it today for the first time, and I played it for about 4 to 5 hours straight and really enjoyed it. And basically, some people call it like Grand Theft Auto meets the Wild West, basically, but very well done. Like, so far, I'm really enjoying the storytelling. I think the dialogue's pretty good. Yeah, it's got that Grand Theft Auto kind of feel to it, but I'm actually a big fan of the Wild West setting. Like, I'm actually, I live in Arizona. Like, Tombstone is not that far away from here, but huge fan of the Wild West setting. Huge fan of like Wild West movies with John Wayne and stuff like that. True Grit, stuff like that. So I love this kind of setting. It's so awesome being in like the old time Wild West. From just like buying a house for like $50 and stuff like that. Like, really good. They captured the feel really well of the Wild West, and the gun controls are actually really pretty good. And I've done a lot of missions and really enjoying it. The missions got some interesting variety, from like herding cattle and stuff like that to taming wild horses, and you can do everything. You could go hunting. So very enjoyable game. I personally like this way better than Grand Theft Auto 4, because this is my kind of game. I love the Wild West setting, so can't wait to play some more of it. Actually, really glad I'm near the end, guys. Thanks for sticking it out. Next and lastly, we got some handheld games to wrap everything on. So I think I'm actually going to start with some PSP love. I love the PSP, I keep saying it, and my PSP collection is growing at a rapid rate. It's like nearing about 20 plus, but it's nearing like really highly collectible titles, really, excellent titles, so I'm really happy about that. But first, I was at Walmart, when I bought Blue Dragon, and I saw this there. It was only like 14 bucks. I figured, that's a fairly good price for this, since both games online would probably go for about $8 a piece, so I get both of them brand new. And that's this PSP UMD dual pack with Siphon Filter, Logan's Shadow, and Killzone Liberation. And I like it because it's actually 2 physical copies of each one. Because I know someone, they'll put like a dual pack in like one case, and both games inside that one case. I can't stand it. But this is just like a slip cover, and then it's got both titles and physical cases. So I haven't tried out Siphon Filter or Logan's Shadow yet. This is actually on the PS2 as well. And I actually really like Siphon Filter. I have Siphon Filter 2 on the PlayStation 1. And honestly, that game is probably one of my all-time favorite PS1 games. Awesome. Like, it's got a really good story to it. Like, talking about Siphon Filter 2, really good story to it. It was really long. It was like a 2-disc game, so it was really highly enjoyable. Espionage, kind of action shooter like that. And I looked up reviews. It's got solid reviews, so I'm definitely looking forward to trying it out. This one I was actually interested in playing, and actually did play it for a little bit. And that's Killzone Liberation. Basically, this is kind of like a top-down shooter, in the Killzone setting, where you have like your laser sight and you move your character. It's like from a top-down perspective, and almost like a twin-stick shooter. You move around and you aim with, like, you get your target on an enemy and you shoot him like that. But it's got some like light RTS elements where like you can kind of slow down the battle and give orders to your squad. Like, sometimes you have a squad, so you can tell them to move to specific positions and tell them to execute it, like certain enemies. So really enjoyable, nice little kind of like strategy, top-down shooter in the Killzone setting. So really glad it. And next is another game that came from the Best Buy purchases with my gift cards. And again, this game cost me basically nothing out of my pocket, but it came out to $6 minus the 20%. And I was shocked that they actually had this game. Like, I saw it, I snagged it right away, because this game goes for quite a bit more. But $6 is the cheapest I would get this, and it cost nothing out of my pocket though. And that's Wild Arms XF. I bought it as a Best Buy pre-owned, and basically Wild Arms XF is actually a tactical strategy game. It's not your typical Wild Arms. It's a tactical strategy game set in like the Wild Arms setting. So I played like a bit of Wild Arms 3 and actually really loved Wild Arms 3 from what I played of it. But that was the time when my PS2 expansion memory decided to completely corrupt and give out with all of my data that it had on there. So really put me down from the PS2 for quite a while back then. you know, you're talking, I lost tons of RPG save files and stuff like that, so it really pissed me off, but I do want to go back to it eventually. But I was really interested in this game on the PSP. Like I said, I'm actually becoming a huge tactics RPG fan. Something about strategy and like role-playing games that just really resonates with me. And it's got a nice style, so I'm definitely interested in trying out. Amazon was having a absolutely ridiculous holiday sale around Christmas time where they slashed prices on a lot of amazing games. You know, you could have got like Solo to Robo for $17. You could have got, you know, Trails in the Sky Premium Edition back here. You could have got these two for under $20. So Amazon was having amazing deals. So Clive, my good buddy Clive from the Press Start podcast, told me he picked up like these two games and Solo to Robo. He's like a pointer over here. But he told me he picked up those without off Amazon. I jumped on Amazon. I was like, I didn't know they were having a deal, so I was like shocked. I'm like, wow, they're having a deal. But I saw this title that I wanted to pick up for myself, so, and it was marked for only $19.99 brand new. It was the cheapest I've ever seen this, and that is the box set of Shin Megami Tensei Persona 2 Innocent Sin on the PSP with the mini soundtrack, as they call it. It's got the game and that mini soundtrack and a nice little PSP box here. Here's the soundtrack. And this is one of the parts of the Persona 2 game. Obviously, it was Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, which is a really uber rare PlayStation 1 game. But yeah, $20 brand new. It's still brand new. I haven't played it yet, but I saw that, jumped on it right away because I knew that's the cheapest deal I would have got for it. Because I passed on it when it came out originally, because I don't know why. Like I was questioning, should I buy it for like $40, you know, for a long time. But then saw $20 and I was like, oh, it's a no-brainer buying it. So definitely can't wait to try this game out. I'm a huge fan of Atlus, you know me, I love Atlus. So I was really happy to add this, you know, Persona 2 box set to my collection for $20. And next we got a DS game and a 3DS game. This is the last title I picked up off the Best Buy pre-owned. And again, this game cost me like nothing out of my pocket. But I saw it and I was kind of shocked they had it too, and that's Atlus's Master of the Monster Lair on the DS. And this is a game actually made by Atlus on the DS, and it's a dungeon crawler. Like, you might see some of the screenshots, but you know, it's a kind of 3D dungeon crawler like that. But the interesting thing is, you design your own dungeons in this game, like literally, like you choose like monster spawn points, and you know, you design the halls, what you want them to look like. You design like the, you know, the certain areas like item shops. You completely have free will to completely design the dungeon you wanted to, and then you kind of go in and explore the dungeon yourself. So, and you know, level grind and do battle. So, really interesting concept. Definitely want to try it out sometime, but another Atlus DS game to add to my ever-growing Atlus DS collection, so really happy to pick it up for, well, nothing, with the gift cards. So really. And lastly, we have made it to the end, finally, the last game, saving, well, I won't say the best for last, these are a lot of great games I picked up, but saving the game that consumed a lot of time, and I love this game, but I finally picked up Mario Kart 7 for myself. I picked it up used, saved $10 on it. And what can I say about this that hasn't been said already? Basically, you've probably heard a lot about Mario Kart 7, but it really is one of the best Mario Kart games in a long time. Definitely better than the DS one, definitely better than the Wii one. Visually, absolutely gorgeous. The track design is awesome. Just absolutely beautiful color, everything stands out. It definitely looks beautiful, much better looking than the Wii version. 3D, I tried the 3D effect, and I'll be honest with you, I really don't like the 3D in this game. Like, it's, I don't know, it's just not that impressive. Like, it doesn't really add much to the gameplay, and honestly, when I'm playing this game, I usually play it in 2D. Like, but it's still a great game, definitely worth the purchase. And I played through the 150cc right away. Like, I just jumped into 150cc, beat all those races to unlock the characters, had absolutely no problem with 150cc, beat all of them literally like first try. So definitely, if you get this game, jump in right away with 150cc, unlock all the characters, and online, go online. This, you know, if you're not going to play online, this game might not be worth picking up. And It's still a good game, but you won't get as much play out of it. Online is where it's at. You probably hear that a lot, but really the online is that great. Definitely the best online infrastructure for a 3DS game so far. Basically, you can set up your own rooms, and you can be really specific about your rooms. So you can have like battle rooms with like bananas only and bombs only. You can be really specific, so it's really cool like that. So definitely online is where it's at. You can join in sessions, and there's lobbies, and then there's certain like pre-programmed messages that you can say. But I joined in with the YouTube gaming community. I'll probably put the YouTube gaming community code below, so if any of you guys haven't seen that yet and want to join it, definitely join that. It's a lot of fun. So I joined that right away as soon as I beat 150cc, and go figure, first time playing online, I jump in and like, who's playing online is Clivo, my good buddy Clivo from the Plus Star podcast, and Holly and Mike since Marina. It's like crazy. It's like it's a lot of fun. It was kind of surreal, kind of going into this, seeing like all these recognizable names. But I actually won my first race online. That was like a kind of shocker. I thought I was gonna go in and kind of get my ass handed to me. Basically, I thought I was gonna get owned, but I came in and just won. And, you know, I'm actually pretty good at it. Not to brag, but I actually do play a pretty mean game of Mario Kart 7. So. And I think why is because this game has more of an emphasis on drifting. Like, you can't snake like in the DS version, but you get bonus boosts for like drifting around long turns and really holding your drifts for a long time. And memorizing tracks really helps, so I memorized some of these tracks right away, and then I know the turns that I can drift for like a long time. I know my exact kind of route through some of these tracks. But really fun online. Absolutely spotless, no lag. I've never experienced any lag. No drop connections unless it's like on your part where you're kind of idle for a certain amount of time or your internet gives out. It's just absolutely flawless online so far. YouTube gaming community is a lot of fun. I've been playing that, and you know, recently for the longest time Pete Dora was #1 on there forever, but not anymore. He's getting bumped out pretty fast. He's, I think, 4th or 5th as of recording this right now. I think #1 is Mike, Sinister Moon, and then Clive, and then Holly, and then Pete's like 4th, and then I'm actually climbing up the rankings myself. Like, I can see my little icon on the top standings now, so I think I'm like 7th. So I definitely want to try and go for that top spot. But a lot of fun. One of the best racing games on the 3DS, a must-own for the 3DS. Amazing fun to be had online. Definitely a must-own for 3DS owners. The 3DS titles are finally starting to come in, guys. So there you have it, guys. That is Recent Pickups, Episode 10, Holiday Edition. These are basically everything I purchased for like holiday cash for myself and whatnot. I actually do have a lot more new pickups. It's just, you know, I'll probably do another Recent Pickups pretty soon, very shortly. But definitely excited for a lot of great pickups, and covers a wide range of stuff. A lot of games I've been wanting to own for quite a while. So definitely thank you for watching another Recent Pickups, and as always, I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.